As part of that, we're going to share something of the financial situation of our church, so that our church knows what the financial situation for our church is. It's a situation that our treasurer has spoken about so clearly in the last, I'd say, at least 3 APCMs, and brought it sharply into focus for us again in our last annual meeting, spelling out the incredible challenge we face over our general fund, our fund that covers our day-to-day running costs as a church. As you came in, you will have been offered 2 leaflets, Thanksgiving and Stewardship 1, and the imaginatively titled follow-up, Thanksgiving and Stewardship 2. These are tools, if you like, to help you in your prayerful consideration of the financial situation of our church. I'll say more about those in a moment or two. But as we address the financial issues before us, I need to say some things. One, if you're a visitor here, I'm sorry you're turning up on a day when we're talking about money. It genuinely is something that we don't talk about and we're not trying to scrounge money out of you or anybody else, but just at certain points in the year, we need to talk about it. And it just so happens that as a visitor, I'm looking mainly here, that you're arriving on a day that we're doing that. The second thing I want to say is I know I'm speaking to generous people anyway. It's evident in our life together in so many ways, including financially, that this is a church of generous people. And because of that, thank you is the first message to come out from me today. Thank you to all who are our regular, planned, generous givers, who make possible the ministry and mission of this church. Sustained, planned giving to the Lord happens in action through the things that people do, and it happens in giving through the money that they give. And there are people in this church who are exemplary in that. And for all contributions, you need to hear the thank you. You don't do it for a thank you from me, you do it for the Lord. But hear the words thank you anyway. I'm also needing to say that I'm not here to twist anybody's arm into giving the church more money. That's not up to me. That's between you and the Lord. I make a point, actually, of not knowing who gives what in the church. I don't think anybody who's a minister should know that information. It makes it a very dangerous place to be when you're preaching on money and you're looking out to a congregation and you know who's giving loads and who's giving little, who the widow is and who the Pharisees are. You know, however you want to phrase it. I make a point of not knowing. So I'm not here to twist your arm. I'm here to ask you to prayerfully consider before the Lord how you might serve his church, so you can prayerfully respond to him. I'm also wanting to say that I'm not ignorant of the cost of living crisis that's going on for all of us right now. Our finances are being squeezed more than they have been in a very long time because of what's going on in our society. Some would argue because of our government, some would argue because of the pandemic, some would argue that there's all kinds of reasons why the cost of living, the war in Ukraine, you know, the cost of living crisis, whatever the reason for it, is happening. And that means there's a squeeze on all your finances. In all your household budgets, there's a squeeze. But just think, if it's tightening the squeeze on your budget at home, it's also doing that here, in the Lord's house. That crisis is impacting the Lord's work too. And the other thing I want to say is I'm giving you these 2 leaflets. I'm not going to spend time going through them now, but Thanksgiving and Stewardship 1 outlines what the financial situation is in relation to our day-to-day running costs. Church finances are complicated. We've got different pots for different things. So, you know, we're sitting on new chairs, we're walking across a new carpet, there's talk of a new kitchen, and yet I'm standing here saying we've got a general fund cost of living crisis in the church. And that's because money, when it comes in, it can often be directed to very specific things and ring-fenced for very specific things by the donors that give it. And the church is legally bound to operate within those boundaries and not divert money that's given for one thing to another thing. We can't do that. It's illegal. So we're in this situation where there's some lovely things going on. There's new crosses at the front. The place looks great. There's plans for new exciting things happening in the kitchen. But our day-to-day costs we're struggling with to quite an extent. And There's a table in the middle of Thanksgiving and Stewardship, one that spells that out for us quite clearly. That what does that mean? It means we're short £805 per month. We're short £26.46 per day in terms of our general running costs for this church, just to keep it going, pay the bills, etc. Take this leaflet away, pore over those figures, have a think about them, and prayerfully consider where you are at with your giving and whether the Lord is asking you to respond to this situation or not. There are around about 130 people on the electoral roll of this church. You can do the maths to work out what that might mean. How much extra does one person have to give in order to make that deficit disappear on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? It's not a massive amount, actually. It doesn't require a massive amount in terms of change.
As Christians, we give generously, and we do that because we recognize what God has given us. Everything we have comes from God, and part of discipleship is giving back to Him what He has given us. And we do that in a variety of ways. We do that with our time, we do that with our talents, and we do that with our money.
Hi, I'm Abby.
And I'm Michael.
We would really encourage you to give financially to St Paul's. As well as this, you could also give your time and your skills.
I'm a producer for a video production company, and I've decided to offer creative services to the church, including creating a new logo. If you have a skill that you think the church could benefit from, please offer it.
We do that firstly because that's a sign of our belonging to the place where we receive so much, a sign of recognition that we are part of this church family. And so it's quite natural then to want to give financially to support the work of that church. We want our churches to be active in mission and ministry. Now we need people to be able to do that. We need resources. We need to have really good buildings that allow that to happen, good hospitality that welcomes people in, tools and resources to be able to go out into the community and meet people.
Jim asked us to think about why we give money to church, which has prompted us to have a conversation and discover that it's not necessarily as straightforward a question to answer as we initially thought.
So we think that we give money back to church out of gratitude to God, gratitude for everything that He's done for us. It's great to be able to give something back.
And also thinking that the money that we have is a gift from God to be used wisely. He's given it to us to be stewards of. And so we need to think carefully about how we use all of it. And for us, the money that we give to God is a way for us to invest in a world that we want to see, invest in a future that we want to be part of, and invest in talented and motivated people to be able to come and work at the church, for the church to be able to buy equipment such that it can put on the facilities that it puts on. So not so much it being purely a gift, but also it being an investment.
And as we do what God calls us to do, our deep longing is that more people come to know Jesus for themselves. What a joy. What a joy to be giving to something that allows kingdom work to happen. I pray that you will sense that joy and that you will give generously.